On April 12, 2015, 25-year-old Freddie Gray, an African-American, was taken into custody by the Baltimore Police Department for possession of a switchblade. During transport, Gray had experienced what was described by officers as a medical emergency. Within an hour of his arrest, Gray had fallen into a coma and had been taken to a trauma center, where it was determined that he had suffered a spinal injury. According to his family, Gray's spine was 80% severed at his neck, he had 3 fractured vertebrae, and his larynx was injured. Events that led to the injuries are unclear. Officer Garrett Miller claimed that Gray was arrested without force or incident, but his statements were contradicted by eyewitness accounts that claimed Gray had been dragged, folded, and beaten by the officers. Despite extensive surgery in an attempt to save his life, Gray died on April 19, 2015. Pending an investigation, 6 Baltimore police officers were temporarily suspended with pay. Police Commissioner Anthony Batts reported that the officers failed to get Gray medical attention in a timely manner multiple times, and did not buckle him in the van during his transport to the police station. The death of Gray resulted in an ongoing series of protests and civil disorder. A major protest event in downtown Baltimore on April 25, 2015, turned violent, resulting in 34 arrests and the injuries of 15 police officers. Following Gray's funeral on April 27, the unrest intensified with looting and burning of local businesses and a CVS drug store, culminating with the deployment of the Maryland National Guard to Baltimore and declaration of a state of emergency by Governor Larry Hogan. Freddie Gray, son of Gloria Darden, was 25 years old, and had a twin sister Frederica, as well as another sister, Carolina. At the time of his death, Gray lived in the home owned by his sisters in the Gilmore Homes neighborhood. He stood 5 feet 8 inches, 1.73 m, and weighed 145 pounds, 66 kilograms. Gray had a criminal record, mainly for misdemeanor and drug-related offenses. Arrest and death. Police encountered Freddie Gray on the morning of April 12, 2015, in an area of Baltimore known for drug deals and violent crimes, according to a police spokesperson. Gray attempted to flee unprovoked on foot, but police on bicycles chased and tackled Gray, found a switchblade in his pocket, and took him into custody at 8:40 a.m. 2 bystanders captured Gray's arrest with video recordings, showing Gray being dragged into the van by officers. A bystander with connections to Gray stated that the officers were folding Gray with one officer bending Gray's legs backwards, and another holding Gray down on his neck with his knee. Another witness told the Baltimore Sun that they had witnessed Gray being beaten with batons. According to the police timeline, Gray was in a transport van within 11 minutes of his arrest, and within 30 minutes, paramedics were summoned to take Gray to a hospital. He was taken to the University of Maryland R. Adams Cowley Shock Trauma Center, in a coma within an hour of being taken into police custody. The statement of charges filed by Officer Garrett Miller against Gray accused him of possessing a switchblade. Miller wrote, "The defendant was arrested without force or incident." Officers also reported that he suffered a medical emergency during transport. In the following week, according to the Gray family attorney, Gray was resuscitated, remained in a coma, and underwent extensive surgery in an effort to save his life. According to his family, he lapsed into a coma after his spine was 80% severed at his neck, he had 3 fractured vertebrae, and his larynx was injured. He died on April 19, 2015, a week after his arrest. Subsequent events. Response and investigation. By April 21, 2015, according to Reuters, hundreds of demonstrators gathered in Baltimore, peacefully protesting Gray's death. The next day, Gene Ryan, the president of the local lodge of the Fraternal Order of Police, expressed sympathy for the Gray family, but criticized the rhetoric of protests and suggested that the images seen on television look and sound much like a lynch mob. William Murphy, attorney for the Gray family, demanded an immediate apology and a retraction. According to Charles M. Blow of the New York Times, comparing protests to lynch mobs inflames racial tension by belittling the significance of the history of lynching in the United States. Ryan admitted the wording was poor but defended his statement 2 days later. The Baltimore Police Department suspended 6 officers pending an investigation of Gray's death. On April 24, 2015, Police Commissioner Anthony Batts said, "We know our police employees failed to get him medical attention in a timely manner multiple times." Batts also acknowledged police did not follow procedure when they failed to buckle Gray in the van while he was being transported to the police station. The U.S. Department of Justice opened an investigation into the case. Protests and riots. On April 25, 2015, protests were organized in downtown Baltimore, and the protests turned violent as protesters threw rocks and set fires. At least 34 people were arrested, and 15 officers were injured. On April 27, rioting and looting began after the funeral of Gray, with 2 patrol cars destroyed and 15 officers reported injured. Protesters looted and burned down a CVS pharmacy in downtown Baltimore. In reaction to the unrest, the Maryland State Police sent 82 troopers to protect the city. A Baltimore Orioles baseball game against the Chicago White Sox scheduled for the evening was also postponed due to the unrest. Maryland Governor Larry Hogan declared a state of emergency, and activated the Maryland National Guard. Hogan also activated 500 state troopers for duty in Baltimore and requested an additional 5,000 police officers from other states. At a press conference, the mayor announced there would be a citywide curfew of 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. School trips were cancelled until mid-May, and Baltimore's city schools were closed on April 28. In addition, both the University of Maryland campus in downtown Baltimore and the Mondawmin Mall were closed early.